Hi, I'm Jacob Adams, lead curator for the Maria Martin Post on the Virginia On-Air Elections and Governance Hub. Today I'll be sitting down with Maria Martin, candidate for Virginia's 52nd House District, for an interview. This is Jacob Adams with the Virginia On-Air Elections Hub, and today I'm sitting down with Maria Martin, candidate for Virginia's 52nd House District. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right, so first of all, why did you start getting involved in politics?
Well, just a concerned citizen. I thought, all right, I can complain all day long at home and see that things don't change, or I can try to make a difference. And when I heard our governor speaking about the life of a child that had survived an abortion, and he said, well, we are going to put him comfortable, and then we're going just to turn our backs and wait until somebody decides to either preserve their lives or take it away. And I said, well, there is something not right there. And a scripture from the Bible came to my mind that is found in Psalms chapter 8, verse 2, that says, from the mouth of the babes and those that nurse, you have founded our strength. In English it says strength, in Spanish it says fortress, fortaleza. And I understand that as a protecting wall, which all cities had. And so if God has founded a fortress, a protection for us, if we take care of the little ones, then we should preserve the lives of them. And so then I started inquiring, how do you start getting involved in this? And found a couple of people, direct me to the right person. And it took a while to make the decision to do it. Probably about a month since I first started on trying to run for office, until finally one day I said, all right, we're going to do it. And here I am in the middle of my campaign. I think it's going pretty good.
So, in regards to that, what do you think has been your most significant accomplishment so far to date?
Well, I believe is meeting the people that I am daring to represent. Every day is such a great accomplishment to shake the hand of people that they are concerned. You know, you ask them, what is your concern about our district? And then the answers start coming up. And sometimes things that you don't have any idea, because the perception for each person is different than from another one. So I think my great accomplishment so far is meeting my constituents.
So what are some of the other issues that have sort of come up that have caught your attention?
Depending of the area where you are, because my district starts from Triangle, Dumfries, great part of Del City, another part of Woodbridge, and Occoquan. So there are 5 cities along the corridor of 95. And so the issues are different. And sometimes you hear from some people and say, well, I am perfectly okay, and we have a few questions that we ask our voters, and some of them is traffic, like number one. Some other people think that healthcare is another issue, and many people are pro-life and also protecting our Second Amendment.
So going along with that, what is the most important new legislation you'd want to fight for in the 2020 General Assembly?
I think at this point we have been fighting with the consequences instead of with the roots of the behavior of some of our population in general. So I would like to implement starting from in education, because education is my priority in my platform. I believe that we should target our children as a first find out what is that will make our children, for one thing, become better citizens or great citizens, loving their country and appreciating the freedom that we have in our country. So teaching them, and I really would like this to push to have in their curriculum, to teach them values of life, values of respect, values of caring, values of living and be accepting and being accepted in our community.
All right. What's one issue that you think isn't being talked about enough in Virginia politics?
You know what? There are so many issues that are just spoken and people clap their hands for whatever reason it may be. But truly, we should focus in things that are long term. One of them is in education. See our children not from here until they graduate from high school, but see how this child is starting in kindergarten or even preschool. How can we plan? Obviously everybody is going to choose at the end of the day their destiny. But how can we provide from the early age toward the future? How is this man is going to look, this little child, how is it going to be his life when he is 30, 40 years old, when he has a family? What do we expect? So then it will, us as adults, they are going to give us some understanding that we need to provide those tools at the very young age so we can create that environment to have great people. And I'm not saying that we don't have great people, because we do. But what about if that will help us to get rid of some of the consequences of not being led through life? That consequences that we see in people that do not make good choices. In just talking about an environment. So that is number one. And number two, but equally important, is our environment. I think we should be very serious about our environment and thinking about Virginia. Virginia is a very rich state, and we should pay more attention. I was reading something about the bay that we have right here in Virginia, and we really need to protect and see what is being fished. How can we make this marine environment be preserved? That the different creatures that they grow. What can we do to make it be there? We may need to put a little bit of stop in the fishing, so we will have all the other animals, that birds and fish and everything else that are part of the environment to survive and to preserve. That thinking about the coast and the bay that we have here in Virginia. But we should also think about the other parts in Virginia. We have all different resources that we should look into and protect.
All right. So what would you recommend to young people and maybe students in general about wanting to get more engaged with the democratic process?
Well, as I said, education is my priority. And something that I really want to push is to have students learn more about the American history. We cannot pick and choose what to tell our children about the American history. We should teach it the whole, the good and the bad. Because in our own lives, there are some parts that we are not proud about. This is part of our life, but that is what has made us. And that is what we are right now. So there are some decisions and some things that our governments have made, but there is a good in that because somehow they have come out of it, or we as a nation have come out of it, and continue to look and choose for good answers to things that in some cases were like lost. So I believe that American history, it shouldn't be like maybe you will learn this. I think it should be like number one, because that is so important. That gives you identity. And even for students that are newcomers, it should be something that has to be a priority, because if we don't know how this great country is the great country that it is, then we will not value. We will not value, and we will start to give it away. But when you value something, you give the proper treatment and the proper care.
So do you have any last words, maybe looking towards election day, to your constituents or to the population in general?
Well, for one thing, I would like all my district, the 52nd District House of Delegates, to take this election very seriously. Don't just think in the things that you have always thought they were right, but think about your children. And if your children are grown and gone up from your houses, that doesn't mean that you are not a part of the education of the children. You still are. 57% of your taxes go towards education. We need to see where is that money going, and if it's being used properly. Are we just trying to push children to graduate from high school, or are we actually letting our teachers teach? I think the teachers need more control of the classroom than students in the classroom. And I am pro youth, pro children. I love children. I love to engage with young people and talk about. I like to listen to what they are doing, planning for the future. But if we do not put some boundaries, then there is nothing that they can lean on. Boundaries are good. Boundaries give you hope. You know that if you step beyond a boundary, something bad could happen. And so I would like everybody to be engaged in education, and that will be a wonderful thing.
All right, I think that'll do it for us. Thank you so much again for the interview.
Of course, thank you.